Hello everyone! As I mentioned, in this lesson I'm going to explain some JavaScript concepts. Especially I want to show some difference between ES5 and ES6 JavaScript. Remember that the ES6 JavaScript stands for the newest JavaScript implementation. And since this course is about advanced JavaScript, we are going to focus on those new features. When programming in JavaScript, we have probably created a lot of variables using the var keyword. For example, in our app code, we could replace the const and let declarations by var and everything will still work. For example, we could put var here, and var here, and things would still work. However, in ES6, there are two new ways of declaring variables, using const and let. The main difference between const and let is that the const variables are immutable. So if you create a const variable, its value cannot be changed. For example, here in this example, I'm creating a const variable a equals 10, and here I'm trying to increment the value of a by 1. This is not allowed. If you try to do this in your code, you receive an error from JavaScript, the JavaScript compiler. On the other hand, if you create the variable with let a equals 10, then you can safely increment the value by 1 and it would work. However, be careful that if the const variable is an object, you can still change the object attribute values. For example, if you create a constant a object with an attribute with the value of 5, I can still change the value of the attribute. I cannot change the value of a, but I can change the value of the attribute. As I mentioned, let variables can be changed, but they have an important difference when compared to the var keyword from ES5 JavaScript. And in order to understand this difference, you need to understand a concept called variable hosting. In JavaScript, variables are always declared in the beginning of the file or function. This means that even if you have created a variable in the end of the function, it will already be available in the beginning of the function, because the JavaScript compiler automatically moves it to the top. This is called variable hoisting. For example, here if we have a function with a variable b equals 5, and then we return a plus b, and here we set the return of this function to c, and here we print c, and we are only declaring the variable c and a here in the end of the file. This code is exactly the same as declaring variable a and c here in the top of the code, and declaring the variable here the top of the function, and the rest is the same. That's because the compiler automatically moves those declarations to the beginning of the file. Since c and a have been declared outside the function, they would be moved to the top of the file. And since the b variable has been declared inside of the function, it will be created here in the first line of the function. But as you can see, this may lead to some weird behavior, such as the variable being used before it was supposed to be declared. For example, here we are using c before declaring c in the end of the file. Also, we are calling the full function here, which uses a, besides a had been declared only in the end of the function. Be careful that when you do this, the value of a here will not be 10. We'll have the variable a will be defined, but with an undefined value. So this function here will return not a number. So the ES6 JavaScript adds the let syntax, which allows you to avoid variable hoisting. Variables created using let are not automatically moved to the top of the function or the file. They are available only after they have been declared. If you try to access the variable before that, the compiler will give you an error. For example, if c and a had been declared using let, you cannot do this. You wouldn't be able to access a here, neither print the value of c here. Finally, what happens when you assign a value to a variable but forget to add the var or let literals? For example, if you forget to add var before the b here, if you only do b equals 5 and you don't add var b anywhere in the code, then it will be created as a global variable. Basically, the JavaScript compiler will move its declaration to the top of the file, like here. So this is exactly the same as declaring a, b, and c in the beginning of the file. Now let's make a quick quiz. Suppose we have a code with a function like this one. A function that have an a variable, not declared here. Then we declare a b variable equals 20. and a let variable called c equals 30. Then we call this function, and then we print the values of a, b, and c. What will be the result when we try to print each one of those variables? Pause the video now and try thinking on the answer. Then come back here and I'm going to show it. First, the a variable is automatically created as a global variable by the JavaScript compiler, so it can be accessed normally. So it will print the value of a here, which is 10. The b variable, on the other hand, is local to the function, so it cannot be accessed outside of the function. So the print here will result in an error. Finally, the same applies for the c variable. The c variable is also available only inside the function, so it will also give an error. And that's it for this lesson. In the next one, I'm going to talk about the second concept I want to explain to you, which is about callback functions.